Zay in the house. Welcome to the Nerdverse. One Piece chapter 1170 is not just another chapter. It is a statement, a direct declaration from Eiichiro Oda that the final saga will not go easy, will not simplify things, and above all, will not spare anyone emotionally. This chapter closes out 2025 with an enormous historical narrative and symbolic weight. Today we're going to talk about the power of a god, about Loki, about Elbaph's legendary Akuma, about the blood of supreme kings, destiny, sacrifice, and about a father who had to die by his own son's hands to save the future of his people. So drop a like right now, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything from the final saga, because what Oda delivered here is pure cinema. Now come with me, because this chapter deserves to be carefully broken down. Since the very beginning of One Piece, Elbaph has always been presented as the land of strength, honor, and the most feared warriors in the world. But chapter 1170 makes one thing very clear. Elbaph is far more than that. It is not just a kingdom of giants, it is a fundamental pillar of world history, deeply connected to the Void Century, the kings of the world government, and the very concept of divinity within the One Piece universe. At the center of all this lies a legendary Akuma no Mi, guarded for centuries of fruit that no one has ever been able to eat. Not because no one tried, but because no one was accepted. This fruit was not protected by walls, traps, or armies. It was protected by something far more powerful, judgment. The guardian of the fruit is Ragnar, the living hammer, a conscious object that does not block the path through brute force, but through criteria. Ragnar observes, tests, and measures those who approach. He evaluates will, honor, and spirit. For hundreds of years, no king of Elbaph was deemed worthy of even coming close to the fruit. This completely changes how we read the past. It wasn't cowardice, it wasn't fear, it was moral and spiritual insufficiency. When Loki faces Ragnar, the hammer shows no hatred. It shows rigor, it attacks with absurd violence, destroys the environment around them, slams Loki into walls, and pushes the boy to his absolute limit. And this is important. Ragnar does not want to kill Loki. It wants to see who he truly is when everything seems lost. This concept echoes Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, but Oda completely subverts the logic. Here, the hammer does not grant power. It protects a power that only reveals itself to those who truly deserve it. Meanwhile, Elbaph descends into chaos. King Herod, overtaken by a dark influence, begins slaughtering his own people. He fights like a divine entity, using conqueror's haki at absurd levels, regenerating wounds and displaying something close to Shanks and Skopper Gaban stepped in to contain him. And it's at this moment that one of the chapter's most important revelations emerges. Gaban explains that beings with this level of regeneration and divine status can only be defeated by users of the king's haki, and not just that, but through repeated, relentless attacks that directly strike the opponent's will. This explanation brilliantly connects the present to the past. Gaban reveals that the Roger pirates clashed with the Holy Knights multiple times when Shanks was still a baby. They learned firsthand how to wound entities directly tied to Maragio. This changes everything. This war did not start now. It has been in preparation for decades, and Elbaph has always been at the center of this conflict. Back in the fruit chamber, one of the most unexpected and symbolic moments of the chapter takes place. Ragnar, the colossal hammer, reveals its true form, a squirrel. At first glance, the scene almost feels comical, but the symbolism is massive. This squirrel represents a figure from Norse mythology who dwells in the world tree and acts as a messenger between opposing forces. Ragnar is not just a guardian, it is an agent of destiny. When it opens the chest and hands the fruit to Loki, it makes a historic declaration. Loki is the only one worthy, in 800 years, to consume this Akuma no Mi. Loki eats the fruit, and the transformation is immediate. The environment darkens, his body changes, his hands turn into claws, a monstrous shadow looms over Elbaph, so massive it makes even the giants look small. Everything points to this being a mythical Zoan, possibly linked to Nhggr, the Norse creature that gnaws at the roots of the world. If this is confirmed, the symbolism is brutal. Loki does not merely carry strength. He carries the power to corrode ancient structures, destroy rotten foundations, and trigger irreversible fractures in the very system of the world. Transformed, Loki rushes to the main hall where Harold continues his massacre. The confrontation between father and son is inevitable, but the weight of this scene is not in the fight. It is in the dialogue. Harald briefly regains his consciousness. He recognizes Loki. He understands what has happened. He admits that his mind was influenced by something terrible, something that made him believe he was a god. Even so, he does not absolve himself of guilt. He looks at his son and asks him to do the unthinkable, to kill him. Not out of hatred, not out of despair, but to save Elbaph. At this moment, One Piece stops being just a pirate story and becomes a classical tragedy. Loki collapses emotionally. He tries to deny it. He tries to justify it. He tries to find any other way out, but reality is ruthless. What has been done cannot be undone, and the future of an entire people weighs more than the life of a single Manavan. If that man is his father, Loki raises Ragnar. The king's hockey erupts in every direction. The strike he delivers is not merely physical. It is symbolic, spiritual, and final. The hammer does not even touch Harald. What happens is total obliteration, as if the sky itself had judged that existence. Before dying, Harald smiles. A father's smile, a smile of pride. Using the voice of all things, he speaks directly to Loki's heart, asking him to think about Elbaph's future. Harald falls, and with him falls the illusion that kings are gods. It becomes clear that true power does not lie in immortality, domination, or brute force, but in the ability to bear impossible decisions. Loki now becomes one of the central figures of the final saga. Elbaph is revealed as a key piece of the world's past, and Oda makes it clear that the deconstruction of the gods of One Piece is only just beginning. The chapter also delivers crucial details. We see Shanks fighting with his left hand, confirming that he lost his dominant hand. This completely changes how we interpret the character and explains why Mihawk refuses to face him. Even incomplete, Shanks remains one of the most feared figures in the world. This does not diminish his legerdom, the contrary, it elevates it. We also witness the silent sacrifice of Harald's soldiers. They die one by one, without recognition, without funerals, without memory. Their bones are left behind and forgotten. And this happens because Loki chooses to lie about the past. They represent invisible sacrifice in one of One Piece's most recurring themes. Those who die so the future can exist, but never make it into the history books. Before dying, we see a brief flashback of Harald meeting Loki as a baby. A moment of pure joy, genuine love that violently contrasts with the monster he became. This contrast is Oda at his cruelest and most brilliant. The world corrupts, even those who begin filled with light. Harald bore the face of freedom, almost the face of Joy Boy, and yet he was crushed by the system. And the chapter ends in the most symbolic way possible, children playing in the snow. After all the pain, oppression, and tragedy, Oda reminds us why all of this happened, so that they could smile in the end. One Piece has always been about that, about one generation's suffering paving the way for the freedom of the next. Chapter 1170 is not about a powerful fruit. It is about the price of freedom. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share it with other One Piece fans, and comment down below what you thought of this insane chapter. Do you think Loki will be an ally or an enemy to Luffy at the end of the story? I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, and see you next time.